Howdy, employees! Today we have the night before build of Crossings for PC. Probably gonna be the same $10 as on Quest if I had to guess. Immediately, my thoughts are simple, does a lot good, but some stuff feels undercooked at the moment. It is clearly in an early stage of development though, so I'll give them a pass for now. I am also running the game on Linux as well, so this is intended for me to test VR performance on Linux for the developers. That's why I got early access. And speaking of the developer, Neat Corporation, developers of the iconic VR series Budget Cuts and Garden of the Sea. Without much more to do, let's get right into it. On the topic of gameplay, it feels really good. Not the best, still has a bit to be ironed out, but it feels pretty nice at the moment. Big thing I like that makes this game unique is the actual collision, because there is none. That's the thing. Unlike Blade and Sorcery and all of those games that frankly aren't that good in my opinion, there's no buggy collision from bad collision mapping and janky environments and weird enemies. No, there's none of that because your sword passes through everything like butter. And I should also mention there is a halberd, axe, a bat, and a sword. I went with the sword because I like sword fighting the most. But a thing that the passing through everything didn't do very well for me is it didn't make the combat feel impactful. A game that does the passing through everything concept really good but still feels impactful is Clone Drone and the Hyperdome. I will glaze this game until the day I die. It is so good, and they added in a resistance function for the skyscraper update where you can have the sword resist when it passes through the enemy, which it just makes it feel so nice. I feel like adding that slight resistance in would make the game feel a lot better as well. There is also the missed potential of the lantern. I don't exactly know if it was supposed to do anything beyond lighting up the area, so I didn't use it, and I didn't really notice anything become harder or anything. I just noticed it was slightly harder to see, and that's about it. This game was also definitely designed for multiplayer, so I can't accurately rate the gameplay, but for solo play, in my experience, I'd give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. On the topic of visuals and graphics and performance and all that jazz, it's nothing to write home about. Big feature for the PC version versus the Quest version, however, that they've been promoting uber is volumetric fog. Looks pretty, but for me at least, it loses 2/3 the performance for something that doesn't really add much. And on the topic of performance, game ran perfectly fine on Linux, so if you guys are also running Linux, I'm using Bazite. If you are, you should have a pretty good experience with this. I'm running on Wyvern as well. GTX 1070, 9th gen Intel CPU, and 90 frames per second on average. But back on the topic of visuals and not performance in Linux, another area I don't feel like the game does really well is view distance. It's 10 feet, and then the fog turns into Silent Hill 2 level stuff. Maybe the lantern helps with that, but again, I didn't really see much of a use to use it, so that probably had something to do with it. But I didn't really want to see much beyond the fog because the environment, it didn't really look spectacular. It was kind of bland in my opinion. Gets the job done, I guess, but 6 out of 10 for the graphics overall. I also mentioned in the gameplay section that the game was definitely designed with multiplayer in mind, and I don't know if anyone is playing the game actively, so I didn't really get an opportunity to test out multiplayer support. I also don't know how multiplayer works in this game. There didn't seem to be like a join option anywhere, so I don't know if it's like you automatically join a player's session or something like that. I don't know. On the topic of audio and sound and music, there wasn't really anything that remarkable. I feel like adding some more like bassy or loud or punchy audio for like hitting and impacting, that would really help with what I said in the gameplay section, with the game not really feeling that impactful with what you do. And another way that I've heard, of course, it be done is like the music cuts off so it sounds like the sound effects are louder, but they really aren't. It's just tricking you. And it kind of works when you do it like that. It makes it feel like so much more impactful just with a simple change like that. I don't know how hard it is to implement, but Neat Corp, if you are listening, I'm going to send it to one of your employees, so I'm going to hope you guys are. I would suggest just overhauling the audio, make it more impactful. That would help so much. Now onto the price. As I mentioned earlier, I think it's going to be the same $10 as it does on Quest. You get a pretty decent game to play with your friends. Depends on how matchmaking works, because I'm still not certain how that works. But there's not really much to come back to. It gives off the feeling of a dungeon crawler, kind of like Ancient Dungeon VR, but in a forest. I feel like if they added in more stuff to do, because like I definitely did notice while I was playing through the game, I'm pretty sure it's built on like the same like procedural modular building block system as most procedurally generated games like this are, because I saw like the same areas over and over again. I think I feel like if they added in just more sections, more like unique areas into the generation pool, and also just like an entirely new area or two, that would make it feel so much more unique and interesting and lively. Like there's so much more you can do in there. But for the time being, 8 out of 10 for price, pretty solid. Overall, this game is obviously in an early access stage of development, as I said, and I really hope it gets improved over time, but as is, I'd say like a 6.5 out of 10 for the game overall. Support Neat Corp though, show them that you're interested in seeing the game become better if you want it to improve the way I see it too. And that settles it for the video. Have a good rest of your day or night, or whenever you're watching this. I'm out of here.